Well, guess what, folks? The Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser, whatever they call it, thing, sunk like the Titanic. It was here, and it's about to be gonzo, and we're going to talk about that tonight on the WDW Fan Zone show. So, welcome everybody. I am Stuart Sternberg, and I am happily joined by John Maloney and Kurt. A lot of news coming out today. Now, I did a brief news show earlier by myself this week because Darlene and Jess were unavailable. Oh, by the way, Darlene has put up a video on the WW Fan Zone Facebook page talking about, or giving her opinion on what happened or whatever on the Starcruiser and other news. I think, I'm not sure, but you might want to check that out because she couldn't make the show tonight. That when we were recording, so her opinion might be different from ours, but when we get into it. But I did want to mention one more thing before we get into the actual topic. And I'm not bringing this up to discuss it. It's a bit of news that was not on the news show, so I did want to mention it. Disney was building a $1 billion campus in Lake Nona. Well, guess what? No more. They canceled it. And they are not moving the 2,000 plus workers from the West Coast to the East Coast. And you could say it's due to their ongoing feud with Hair Dictator Ron DeSantis. And that's all I'm going to mention on that. And we're going to get into the Star Wars ship sinking, resort sinking, rather. Okay. I don't think any of us did the Star Cruise. No. Yeah, I know I couldn't afford too much money.
I did not have the opportunity.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I wouldn't have had the opportunity unless I won the lottery.
No, I did not. Not only did I not have the opportunity, but I talked about this with my family. Even if we could afford it, 3 out of 4 people. I'm the only one that's the outgoing person. 3 out of 4 people in my family, they wouldn't play into it. They're just not the extrovert that wants to go and be into the actual attraction.
Yeah. Now, I don't know how many years ago the idea of the Starcruiser came up, or we'll call it the Star Wars Resort just for if I can.
They announced it in 2017, I think.
Okay, so that was before Chapek took over.
Because it was announced at a D23, 2017, 2019, yeah. Somewhere like that.
Now, it was highly touted by Disney as this boutique resort, but you knew they were catering to a yeah, go ahead, John.
Well, I was just going to say it was not intended to just be a resort. It was always intended to be
absolutely
an experience, and part of that is the resort and the facility itself.
Well, that's why I called it a boutique resort, because you're right.
That's what they call it.
To be just a resort. It's an experience. It was like taking a cruise on land.
Well, right. And beyond that, though. So, and Kurt talked to it, and that it was geared toward engaging. So, Walt Disney created Disneyland because he wanted to give people an opportunity to step into the movies. And we said how Rise of the Resistance upped things because you felt more like you were a part of the story. Well, this was taking it well beyond that.
Oh, absolutely.
You were making the story.
Initially, I thought this was going to be a huge success for Disney. But as the months went on, and we talked about this a little bit and touched on it, they really put themselves in a corner because you've got, like you said, Kurt, it's engaging. You really need to be a Star Wars. Well, you don't have to be, but it helps to be a Star Wars fan. And you had to be rich. You put those three together and you're eliminating large segments of the population.
And it proved to not be repeatable frequently enough for the target audience.
Yep, I agree.
I think I heard a number. It was something like a little over $1,200 per person per day is what it was going to cost for a couple to go.
Yeah. Now, you want to hear something really funny? This is the God's honest truth. Yesterday, I was talking to somebody, cast member. I'm not going to say who, but they were applying for jobs as a cook. To transfer from where they are to apply for jobs as a cook. One of the resorts they had on their list to apply for was the Star Wars the Galactic Star, whatever you call that thing.
Galactic Starcruiser, the Halcyon.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, and this was just yesterday, I said, well, why do you want to go there? It's probably going to close soon. Not knowing that it was going to happen today, that today was going to be the day that they made the announcement that it's closing in September.
Stuart's fault.
Yeah, so needless to say, I think that person's crossed that resort off their list and probably replace it with another one to apply for.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah, but I think the writing's been on the wall for a while there.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't book it enough. They just weren't, they canceled some dates because they didn't have enough capacity.
Now they're trying to rebook people. Anyone that's out after September 28th or whatever the last sailing is, they're trying to book them and try to get them to come in closer and give them first opportunities to book. And then they'll fill in the rest with
otherwise
all the people that must go. So,
I think if they do something along this line, if they did something like this on a cruise, where if you're going on, let's say, a 4-day sailing, a 7-day sailing, and 2 days are going to be like they do with Marvel Days.
Yeah.
But maybe even go a little further and decorate the rooms a little bit for Star Wars. You can kind of get away doing something like that and maybe charging a little more of a premium for that cruise. I think people would be into it because that could change. You don't have to stay with the same thing. You do it once a year, maybe twice a year. And things change and you adapt with it.
You're going to have people on the cruise anyways. Why do you have to raise the price? There's already people working the cruise.
You're theming, Kurt. You're theming the cruise, so you're appealing to those fans to come on the cruise. So you're giving them something extra that they might want that they pay a premium for.
You're talking like one cruise out of the year or something like that?
Yes.
Okay. I thought you meant like.
Oh, hell no. No. Sorry.
Okay.
So do you think it would have lasted if it was, say, half the price? And I don't mean beyond now.
It would have lasted longer.
But do you think it could have lasted 5 to 10 years if it was half the price?
Probably.
Yes.
Okay. You think people
would have opened it up to the middle class? Right now, you're looking at the 1%ers.
Right. You wouldn't get. It's not that you would get a lot of repeat visitors, but you'd get more initial visitors.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. I think if it financially appealed to more families, not just the 1%ers like Kurt mentioned, I absolutely think it would have lasted a lot longer.
Yeah.
At $500 a night per person, I think you could book a family, not even a family. You could get together with 4 friends and justify that. I can't justify the what did I say, $1,200 a night or whatever it was.
Oh, it's insane what they were charging. It was $5,000 for 2 days.
Well, so
right.
Let's talk about why we think it cost what it did.
Honestly, I think part of it is, they're a business. They want to make a profit. That's part of it. That's a good part of it.
Well, right. But make a profit. So that kind of implies that it cost a lot to, have the facility, to have the cast members, which I think a lot of it is the cost of the cast members.
Oh, I think it goes beyond that. It costs a lot to build the resort.
Well, to build it initially, right? But then to keep it
trying
going,
to recoup those funds.
Right. But to keep it going, there are a good number of cast members that are there relative to the number of guests.
Yeah.
And they are very talented cast members.
Yes, they are.
It's like going to a Broadway show and you live the weekend with all of the, those Broadway cast members around you to put a story on around you. And they're there they're there for as long as the guests are there pretty much.
Oh yeah.
All day long. So the cast member costs there for the level of talent had to be pretty high.
Yeah, think about it. I'm sure the overtime payout for those cast members was through the roof. Um, you know, if it worked, I think we would have seen more of these boutique resorts, themed boutique resorts at Disney opening in the future. That doesn't mean they won't try it again. But at this time, with the economy the way it is and everything else, it's just, people who, what's the term I'm looking for? People are not, people that have spending power to purchase certain things are cutting back because of the way the economy is.
Well, they can't even get people into the park. They're offering this 4-day park ticket.
That's for Florida residents only.
No, it's not. There is a 4-day park ticket. It's a 4-day ticket. It's $99 each. They came out the same day as that one.
Yeah, that's more money than the. Okay.
Correct. Yeah,
right,
it's about twice as much. But if they're bringing that back, they've got the resorts at 20 or 30% off. They're struggling to fill things, which is what I said last time. I said the reason why it was so busy was everyone wanted to be there for the 50th anniversary.
I don't believe that.
The 50th anniversary is over, and now that's starting to slow down again.
I don't believe it was there for the 50th anniversary. I think that could have been part of it for some of the people, but people had stimulus money, and it was their opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Let's go to Disney. But you're still seeing the crowds there. It hasn't slowed down enough yet, but right. It's coming.
Yeah, I mean, the demand for travel has just been sky high for a year and a half to 2 years. We knew it was going to come back down to earth. In fact, we talked about this the end of last year, the beginning of this year. We said, what do we think is going to happen with the demand? And I went back and forth a couple of times and was thinking that I thought somewhere this year it was going to start to decrease.
Right. I think we all did. We just picked different times. Like my thinking is, and it's still that way. I think come October 1st, I think it's going to wane around definitely by the end of the year, this year. But I'm thinking maybe in the fall after, kids go back to school, summer's over. I think you'll see a little bit of an increase in attendance again come October 1st for the, what anniversary is coming up now? Is it the 40th for Epcot?
No, that was last year.
Going on.
41st. And 51st for
the monumental 41st.
Yeah. I think you'll see a little uptick for it. I think the 100th year celebration is helping a little bit.
They did that 100-year thing like in 2004 or something like that. People were like, I don't know what this is.
I do think it helps a little bit, but not it's not significant. That's why I said it the way I did. But I think people have spent their stimulus money. They're catering to the wealthier clientele because you see so many of these private tours going through Disney now. Not so much more than you ever used to. If you saw one here and there during your trip, that was a lot. Now you see them in every park every day, no matter when you go. People are shelling out those big bucks for that tour.
Yeah, and I think that's because the people that have the means
can do it.
They want to have a better experience, and they see how long the lines are. So the people that have the means are going and shelling out that extra money.
Right. And I don't know if that'll be necessary a year from now, because I think unless Disney does something, I think the attendance is going to be down a lot further than it was a year ago, even. Or now. It'll be down a lot further than it is right now a year from now. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah. I mean, that's when Disney starts doing the things that you see them doing. Mm-hmm. That's what we've said before. They don't cut their prices back. They give incentives. Yep. So if they stretch things too far with the cost of tickets, the cost adding Genie Plus, whatever, they start to give incentives like discounts on the resort hotels, special ticket packages. So they don't change the base price. They give you discounts.
And you know why they do that? Think of this analogy. You work for a company And the company says, well, we don't give big salary increases. We give very small ones. But you know what we do? We give bonuses every year. If we have a good year, you get a good bonus. If we have a bad year, you may not get a bonus. There's a reason they do that, because the price increases, they don't want to take away. No matter how business is doing, good, bad, or otherwise, you give the incentives, which offsets the bad times. So those prices are still there when they go into the good times, and they can raise them even more.
It's starting to look like the purchase price for Genie Plus, by the way, is $22 now.
Yeah.
I've recently, about the last week and a half, I've been watching that price. That's been pretty steady right there.
I know Genie Plus is making money for Disney now. And we're not going to get into it because we've argued this.
We're not going to talk about it. I'm just letting you know, it's up.
But it's not a perfect system. And anybody who's gone to Disney can see why. And we'll leave it at that. Anyway, getting back to the
Halcyon.
Yeah. If you don't try to do something, you'll never know if it's going to work or not.
I commend them for giving this a try, and
me too.
I'm sure they've learned something from it, and they might have to adapt and change and do something a little different. But there are a lot of people that have had the experience. How long has it been open now? 2 years?
It'll be 18 months when it closes.
18 months.
It's been open about a year. By the way, apparently Spirit Halloween is going to be moving in there very soon. From what this is from a Facebook post.
Oh, that's funny.
So for those of you wondering, we're going to be able to get your Halloween gear this year. Because, it'll be.
We'll get into what we think is going to come in next. But I had a thought. If they had, and I'm not saying a fifth park, but if they built another park that was exclusive to you staying at a particular resort, and only those people in that resort could go into this park for 2-3 days, maybe 5 days, whatever. Would that have worked any better?
No.
I agree with you, Kurt.
No.
It would have been the same
not
thing.
At all.
It would have cost too much money to do.
Would not have worked. There's only 100 rooms inside of the Starcruiser. 100 rooms, because we all said the same thing. Oh, let's just open it up as another deluxe or moderator. It's 100 rooms. That the smallest resorts on property are, I believe, Port Orleans, French Quarter, or not French Quarter, but Riverside.
Oh no,
French Quarter. French Quarter only has 900 rooms in it. This has 100. It's a boutique resort. It's 100 rooms.
Well, yeah. I mean, it had to be. They knew that they weren't going to get 500 people a night there.
Yeah.
It would be too much.
Anyway, and like John said, I do commend them as well for giving it a try. I do think at some point in time, I don't think it'll be anytime soon, I think they will try something similar, and I think they will have learned from their mistake. Yeah. But will it work? We won't know until we see what's next. In the meantime, we've got this building there, and I know what I would do with the building, but I want to hear what you guys would do before I say anything.
Well, I have a few ideas, and I don't know which one is the best, but I think maybe something that could work would be they still use it for an experience, but it's just an experience so it could be a premium experience for an evening. So kind of like you go to Hoop-de-Doo Review. If you go to the Halcyon for an evening, it could be a longer evening than, say, the Hoop-de-Doo is, where you've got that theatrical experience and dinner. So you combine dinner and an interactive show, but it doesn't cost as much to participate. It doesn't cost as much to put that show on. And you may not be able to get as many people through it. And so you might be able to string that out and kind of like, I've been to Hoop-de-Doo multiple times. I don't go every year. It might be 10 years in between. You could get people to come and do that over time. It'd be less expensive, open to more people, and then over time you change the show, and you might get repeat visitors then too.
I like that idea. It would depend on the price point. The price point would have
Absolutely.
to be equal to or less than Hoop-de-Doo Review or some similar things in the area.
Well, you could. I mean, come on. When you look at that room, I'm sorry, that's not a $2,000 a night room. You're paying for the experience.
Oh,
but,
absolutely.
So you want to moderate resort? I don't know. $500 and you got a dinner show at night. It's a Star Wars private dinner show at night. But you're only there one night.
So what I was thinking, and I think the location is the big deterrent to do this, would be to turn it into a family resort where you don't have that many rooms, but the rooms would cater to families of 5 to, let's say, 7 or 8 or 10, however they could figure it out. But I don't think the location is right for it. I could see them possibly, it's not good for this either. I was going to say make it part of Hollywood Studios and open up a new section there, but that's not in the right area for that either. It's off.
How about this? Make-A-Wish. Trying to do a Make-A-Wish resort. It's a quiet area. There's only 100 families are going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Make-A-Wish, a lot of times with Make-A-Wish, some people just need that quietness.
Yeah.
You think Disney would? I mean, they are very supportive of.
They are.
A number of different, nonprofits. But do you think they would invest that much?
No, I don't. I think it's I think they're looking at it as a valuable piece of real estate that they would want to use for other purposes. I just don't know exactly what their thinking would be for it. But I like the idea. I love that idea for Make-A-Wish. I just don't think Disney would do it there in that location.
Does anyone think they would expand it?
I don't think they can.
You mean because there's not enough space?
Right, because there's not enough space. It would.
Well, you know what? So one of the things that I had thought about was making it a DVC property. And DVC, what they typically do is they have some kind of expansion on an existing property. And I don't know how much space there is, but I think that's an option, is they could make a DVC property and expand it somewhat.
Funny you brought that up. I think they could build up to make it a DVC property, but
make it a tower.
Yeah, but I think the problem then
I don't know if the supports are strong enough, to be honest with you.
Well, that can be, then you can bulldoze it and start over. They've done that before too. But I don't think there's enough parking there because the lot that's next to it is the employee parking for Hollywood Studios, and they need that space.
Well, they do, but I've looked at we had talked about expanding Hollywood Studios before, and there is a way to move some parking lots to make more room for Hollywood Studios. So I think they have some options. I'm sure it's going to be tough, though.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a lot of trees in this whole area. There's some serious acreage that's next to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Kurt's holding up a map of
resorts.
Yeah.
So there's
where the Starcruiser is located.
So another thing that I thought they could do is to make it. I mean, it's already technically an extension of Batuu, but they can make it an extension of Batuu where it's an attraction. So use it as a show building. I don't know how, it'd be costly to convert, but make it a show building and put some kind of other Star Wars themed experience attraction in there. They'd have to figure out how to get you back and forth smoothly, but it's a possibility.
Yeah,
well, they were already doing that. They just put you in like a tram, but it's got to be an enclosed tram that you're moving over.
Yeah.
You know what my guess is? My guess is they're going to, whatever they do with that property, it will not have anything to do with Star Wars when it's said and done. And that's just it's a completely uneducated guess.
Mhm.
I don't know what they're going to do with it there. They
I'm
can make it
sure
a training facility for all we know.
I'm sure that there are some executives that are sweating over it right now.
Yeah.
I asked my wife that. I go, do you think anyone lost their job over this?
Oh, I think Chapek already did.
Well,
And it wasn't
the only
over
thing, it was announced before Chapek came, but was it the price point that was he part of the price point saying?
From what I
you need to
heard
charge more
from
for it?
cast members, and cast members will tell you anything you want to hear. What I'm hearing is that he was the biggest voice supporting it and the price point. But I don't know
Making
how
sure it
true.
was
I
as
don't want to say
expensive
that's
as it
true.
was.
I don't know.
Well, so speaking of price point, what do you think you would have paid for the experience that they had to make it worth you spending, or to make it affordable for you to?
You know what? If it were under $500 for the 2 nights, I think
$500 each night, you mean?
for a once in a lifetime trip there, I think I would have done it for that.
So you're
Okay.
talking $500 per person.
No, well, yes, I'm sorry, but no more than 500. I would, between 4 and 5 for the 2 nights. Oh boy,
Because you get the food was included. There
Yeah.
wasn't interactive action.
you go into Hollywood Studios.
I mean, I got to be honest. There's a NASCAR race going on over the 4th of July up here in
Mhm.
Chicago. The just to walk around ticket is like $280. If you want a seat, it's like $350.
Yeah.
That's for the weekend, so it's for 2 days, and supposedly 4 concerts of bands that I don't even want to see on top of the of what's going on. So I won't even pay that because
Mhm.
it's ridiculously priced. But I'm also not staying overnight there.
Right.
So would I do $500 a night if it was me going? So what would that be? $1,000 for the 2-night experience, just for me to go with maybe another friend that was also a big Star Wars fan? Probably. But again, would I go with my family? Absolutely not. And if I did do it this way, my wife would probably be like, "Okay, this is all your presents."
Yeah.
I mean, when I got the
For the next
PS5,
5
it was,
years.
Kurt,
yeah,
I hear
here's
you.
your
And,
anniversary and your birthday and your Christmas and your,
and something against what I said with what the price point would be that I would pay for $400 to $500 per person. I can go on a 3 to 5 day cruise. That
yeah,
And
it's a different cruise
that's
line,
why
but you're right.
That's why I think it was never primed for success.
Mhm.
Because there's so many people that would do the same thing, and that's what I would do. Is if I could spend $4,000 to $5,000 for a trip, what would it be? And there are
It's
just
not
too
that.
many other things I would choose.
Yep.
For that. So the price, if the price had been $2,000 for 2 days for 2 people, I may have tried it. But
Right.
for $4,000 to $5,000, I would rather go 2 people on a cruise for 6-7 days, or 2 people on a European vacation, or
Yep.
staying at the Grand Floridian for a week or something like that. So that's why I never even seriously considered it, because
Right.
I would rather spend that money doing something else for entertainment and a trip.
Yeah,
Our
you know what?
flight, our food, our nights where we stay, granted we are DVC, our tickets, I don't know if our family of 4, that's for a 5-day trip, is not going to be the ridiculous amount that they were charged for 2 days.
Right.
When you're paying $4,000 or $5,000, everybody's got lists or bucket lists of things they want to do in their lifetime. That kind of money can get you one of your bucket list items or list items off that.
Yeah. And would you go to Walt Disney World for only 2 days?
No.
So
it was an add-on.
it would have cost you so much more.
Yep.
Because you would have had to add, 3 or 4 days on top of that, which put it further out of reach of most people.
Okay, so
was that the ticket to Disney Hollywood Studios was included in the price, right?
yes, it was.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go. So there's your $150.
Yeah, but they're just
you were only there for half of a day.
right.
Half of a
They're
day.
not-
You're right.
right.
You're right.
Yeah, they're only thinking of Star Wars line.
Yeah. It's more expensive than the $5,000 it costs.
Now, everything we're bringing up here about why it failed, you have to believe that there were voices within the Disney company that brought all this up and then some before they tried this.
These are the same things that we thought when it came out.
Yes, absolutely. And they knew this, and I think they were counting on a good economy and a lot more people to come. And by time, let's say somebody went the first time, maybe 5 years later, because they're such big Star Wars fans, they would come again. But
Disney has found that there is such a thing as Star Wars fatigue too.
Yes, there is
with their films, and they've scaled back on how often the films are being released.
Right.
And you want to hear something else I heard today? Anakin may not get a second season. They may roll it into another. They may roll it into another series. And
Anakin.
Anakin.
Did I say it right?
No.
Ahsoka.
No.
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 I'll tell you in a second.
I can't. It's not Aladar.
Yeah, Anakin Skywalker.
Anakin never had a. No.
Well, there was supposed to be a series.
I did. Was there?
You're talking about Andor.
Maybe it's Andor.
Andor. Okay.
Andor.
That's completely different.
Yeah.
And their second season was already filmed, I thought. I thought it was in.
Then what I heard was wrong.
I thought I was under the impression because the guy who started it was already talking about how it took a lot out of him, but it sounded like most of his work was done. So, might have been Andor, yeah.
Yeah, that already had a season, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, I got it completely wrong. Oh God, it was Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh,
and it was Newsweek that had it out.
Yeah, I never heard that they had okayed a second season.
Yeah, it was Newsweek that had that out. I apologize for that.
Okay,
I'm just a screw
up. Welcome to the club.
Yeah. Well, somebody's got to do it when Darlene's not here.
There you go.
So
Obi-Wan Kenobi, like John said, I didn't realize there was going to be. I guess the second season for Obi-Wan Kenobi might have been looking more towards the Luke aspect of it. Since season 1 was more Leia.
Mm-hmm.
But they never really talked very much about it having a second season.
No, they didn't.
I know they are talking about doing an Indiana Jones for Disney Plus, but Harrison Ford has already said he will not be part of it.
Oh, I don't want Harrison Ford in that role on Disney Plus. It's like I want somebody who can actually walk without a cane.
Oh God!
No offense to Harrison Ford. No offense to him. It's just like if I'm going to watch an action or thriller show, I want to see somebody who can actually move. And,
you don't want to see Willie Nelson starring in it.
Make the part realistic. And this is coming from
Happy
somebody
birthday, Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
Look, Harrison Ford's a great actor. I love Indiana Jones. But it's like would you have wanted to watch Sean Connery play James Bond for 40 years?
Well, did he?
Some people don't even remember who Sean Connery is.
He did it for a good. He probably did it for. Didn't Never Say Never Again come out a good 20 years after the first one?
He did it. I think he was in it in the 60s to the mid 70s, if I'm not mistaken, or early 70s, and then he handed the role over to Roger Moore.
Right, and then he came back and he did Never Say Never Again for the paycheck.
Right. That was just one movie, though.
That was after he was bald.
Yeah.
Yeah, the toupee gone.
Yep. He is a great actor. Unbelievable.
Sean Connery.
Yeah.
Was.
You can do past tense with Sean.
Yeah, all right. Was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was like one of my favorite actors ever.
He was a great guy.
He did a Disney movie.
Yes, he did. Darby and the Little People.
Yep.
Yeah, I never saw it.
You're welcome, Stuart.
For what?
I caught him. I caught that for us. I grabbed that one in the air and caught that one for us. Yeah, it was on the Disney Channel one St. Patrick's Day. I woke up at 1:00 in the morning and watched it. I don't know why, but probably because I couldn't fall back asleep. TV was still on.
I think he actually even sang in that one, but
yes, he did.
Far be it from Star Wars, though.
So the Star Wars resort.
If anything, like I said, there's a lot of wooded area. I know they don't want to take too much of that wooded area. They could technically expand that resort, theme them different. Another all-star resort. You can't get enough of them. Expand it out across into the other area a little bit. Do I think they're going to do that? No. But those, the first thing I said about those rooms was they really were designed to be really small, like it would feel like you were on a ship.
Yep.
Who's going to pay I'm trying to think of what even a deluxe resort would be. $900 a night, $800, $700 a night.
Well, wasn't that supposed to originally be part of another resort? Well, didn't the building belong to? Wasn't it close to another resort there? I mean, I could be wrong. I've been wrong all night.
The Star Wars resort? You're talking about this? It's nowhere near any other resorts.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I just get the feeling they're going to tear it down.
Well, so there was another idea I had that, and I don't know how feasible it is to use it for private events. So if they could find enough, employers with enough money to host a private event there and pay Disney.
That's a tough one because then the building's going to remain closed how much of the year?
Wonders of Life Pavilion. How often did they use the Wonders of Life Pavilion? But they still dust it off and use the mothballs and.
But that's in a park.
Toss stuff in there.
It's
inside of a park. I get it. Well, the same thing here. If you get a company that comes in and says we're going to rent this out, we'll give you. But
the difference though
$100,000.
The difference though is the Wonders of Life Pavilion was gutted from what was there. They would have to do the same thing with the Star Wars Pavilion, or maybe not. I don't know, but
You mean this building?
Yeah, the building. Yeah.
Well, it's got 100 rooms. Again, if like John said, if a company comes in and says, "Look, we'll give you $100,000 to rent it out,"
I'm not saying they won't do something like that. I just don't see that happening.
I don't know if there's enough demand to make it worthwhile.
That was
But that's just another kind of opportunity. I think that's all.
I could, but like you had mentioned, or the first thing you mentioned, actually, I could see them doing something like that, doing a Star Wars hoop-de-doo review in outer space. But I just get the feeling there, and like I said, it's completely uneducated that what's ever there won't be there if it becomes something else. And I for all we know, they could turn into an extension of their offices for the employees that are there.
Mm.
They would have to gut out all of those rooms then.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at it now, and I obviously had never stayed there. It looks like a guitar. So the neck of the guitar, I have a feeling that's where all the rooms were. And then the big show building area, because that seems to be 2 stories tall, that seems to be where everything else was going on. Based off of the way this looks. I don't know. I've never been in there. Maybe we should have had Lou come on the show and talk to us about it because he's been to it twice. Or Becky. Becky's been there. I don't know. I just don't know. I'd like to see it do something, get their recoup. Again, some boutique where you stay there for a night and you get that Hoop to Do review type show without having to be interactive with it. So it's not as many people having to be there as long.
They'd have to, cut the cost back somehow.
Oh, absolutely. I could see them taking some of the equipment, scenery, whatever, and moving it over to Star Wars Land in some capacity in some places. How, I don't know. But I could see them incorporating that into Star Wars Land along the way, like maybe expanding it a little, adding to what's already there. I'm just not sure.
Again, you could turn it into a night. Like, how's this? They do murder mysteries where it's one of those interactive murder mystery things. Kind of like Hoop to Do. You could be interactive for a night, just not 2 days.
Well,
so you just have the show an add-on for $75 or $100 a person for that show in the night. And they block off all the rooms.
How about, what? It's become very popular now, escape rooms.
What was that again?
Escape rooms.
Oh, escape.
That won't work as an escape room.
Well, I don't think it'll work for reconfiguration. You don't need a big space for an escape room. You could do it in.
Trust me, I've done a few of them.
I'm sorry, Kurt?
I've done a few of them. So I get,
So have I. I've done. And they're fun.
I agree. At $30 a person.
Yeah. Look, I don't think that they're going to do that, but that's just another possibility that I wanted to mention.
Were there any other parks where they were considering creating another Galactic Starcruiser overseas?
No. Not that I'm aware of. This was an experiment. They wanted to. It was a wait and see type of thing.
I think they spent so much money on this that I don't think they're too concerned if they have to just take everything that's in there out to do something else. I just don't think the size of the lot, they could make a DVC resort out of it, but I think the size of the lot, the parking lot, that is, would become an issue.
Yeah, but they can also make, parking garages with multiple levels to them.
They could, but they have, other than Disney Springs, they have not done that.
Mm-hmm. Not exactly. I mean, Kidani has parking under the building.
Correct.
Okay.
Excuse me. Sorry. I should have got my mute button.
There's no dying on our show tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I don't want to follow the path of the halcyon.
There you go.
Speaking of I wish they would put in different level parking at other parks, so you wouldn't have to walk 1,000,000 miles like you do now in a couple of them. But yeah, I don't think that's happening anytime soon either. I am sure Disney's already thinking of what they can do with that. I'm sure they've been thinking of what they can do with that property before they even decided to close it or announce that they were closing it. We just don't know what it is, which is why we're here doing this show.
Exactly.
Speculating.
Yeah. we do an awful lot of speculating, don't we?
Yeah. Yep. I just thought it was big enough news that we needed to get it out there to our listeners and viewers, who I will plead with and ask again to kindly like us and share us on Facebook. Well, yeah, there too. On YouTube, and what's the other place? Oh yeah, Apple Podcasts, please, so we get a little more visibility, so people can love us, hate us, or get to know us. And something I do want to ask: if you would like Darlene-free shows, please give us thumbs up. If you do not like Darlene-free shows, give us a thumbs down. And we'll see how that vote goes. I'm kidding. Darlene's not going to
all hate mail can go to Stuart Sternberg.
Yeah. I don't think she's going to be here next week either. She's traveling again. But I'm not sure. She might try to call in or connect somehow. Lottie won't be here next week either, from what I understand. So for Lottie
work.
fans who, she's working.
Major travel plans lately, which is too bad.
Yeah. But hopefully she'll be back on a more semi-regular basis sooner than later. I always like hearing what Lottie has to say about things. She just puts it right out there.
Correct.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess the consensus is that we don't know what the consensus is of what they're going to do.
It's going to be a pet center. Those rooms are big enough for a St. Bernard.
Hey, maybe they'll move their kennel there.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah,
a Star Wars themed pet kennel.
I think the biggest issue with it to do something else is the location. What was there before? It was just a vacant building.
Nothing.
Nothing.
There was nothing.
Yeah.
It was woods.
Right.
Yeah. So, like you said, Kurt, there's woods on it's the other side of the highway there, right?
Correct.
They could build a bridge over or under that highway to connect.
It's where the entrance is to go in now. It's behind the trees, behind the entrance to enter into the parking lot.
Yeah, and I think beyond that are some of the other resorts. If I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure.
No, there's no resort near there.
No, there are 0 resorts in the area.
Okay.
It's actually over near the Cloverleaf between Osceola Parkway and World Drive.
Yeah, if you go back a whole exit off of the highway, you get back to ESPN Wild World of Sports and
correct
Pop Century and
right, and those are a completely other
direction.
That's away from everything.
Yeah, those are to the east.
I know I've been over in that area before, and to drive over there, it's not like driving to Hollywood Studios where you make the loop turn from World Drive. I'm not good with names of streets, but it kind of takes you in a roundabout way, and it's not that it's confusing, but it just you don't know where you are. At least I have.
Yeah, and they changed the entrance basically.
Yeah, they changed the entrance isn't even near it anymore. Where I was looking at it saying, oh, it's right near the entrance. That's the old entrance. It's now the cast member entrance because they now have you come in through the complete other side. It looks like
there was always an entrance there, but now it's the main, the entrance for most guests.
Right, it's off the back side.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see them doing a DVC building there of some sort. I would like to see them do what John suggested in terms of doing like a nighttime restaurant dinner show kind of thing.
For it to be DVC, they would have to expand it to more than just 100 rooms.
Well, you build up.
They would have to build more buildings. There would have to be more buildings over there. They can't build it up. It would not have the support to go up.
Well, it would if you knock it down and start over.
They're going to build other resorts, other different resorts around in there.
Well, think about what Disney likes to do. They like to repurpose things rather than rebuild things from scratch or build things from scratch. So
that's why they're not going to drop it. They're not going to drop it.
Right. Kurt, I agree. I do agree with you. I don't think you're going to see a tower go up there at any time.
No, not at all. That's my point. I could see them doing other buildings.
There's no room.
There's a ton of rooms, Stuart. There's a ton of room in those woods. You'd have to go across.
Right, but that's on the other side of the highway.
No, it's not. It's not.
Show me that picture again. Maybe
all this area here is
okay.
available.
I was looking at it differently. I was looking at it.
Right. You have to realize I'm looking at it. You're looking at it backwards. See, my idea is backwards. So all this area here is the other side.
So they could do that.
Yeah, there's a ton of room. It would have to be kind of like how they built the DVC resorts instead of building them tall. Over at Key West, there's a bunch of separate resorts built. That's just like over the All Stars, over at Pop Century. They're all individual buildings. There would have to be like a smaller building. This building in particular that's still there would have to be the main building where you would check in, and that's where they would have everything. like the dining area or whatever, with exclusive, whatever you want to call. They probably would knock some walls down. Oh, guys, there are some 3-bedroom resorts or 3-bedroom villas within here. I wouldn't call them a villa; it's more of a room, but they're all small.
Yeah.
So they're just too small. People want their money's worth.
Yep, and
then they're buying them.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to make it a DVC. I don't think they're going to tear down the woods to put up, additional buildings there. I'm not saying there won't be another DVC resort. There'll be other DVC resorts. I just don't think it'll be in that exact location.
I think they're going to keep the air conditioner around. They're going to use it for storage right now, and they're going to sit on it until they can figure out what they want to do post DeSantis. I only bring that up because I don't think they want to. I think they just want to sit on it right now while they figure out their new business model.
Yep.
It's not trying to be a bash on DeSantis at all with that. I just think they're trying to decide what they can and will be able to do with it.
I do agree with you with that. I think they're also going to wait because do I think Bob Iger will extend his stay as CEO? He could for another year or two, but I don't think it'll go beyond that. So at some point, they're going to have to bring in a new CEO, and that CEO will have their own vision. And at that point in time, DeSantis will not be the governor anymore. His 2 terms have been up, and I'm not counting. We know he's going to announce his run for president. I'm not even counting that right now. But if he were to fulfill his 2 terms as governor, you're looking at another CEO in there. So I think you're right, Kurt. I think they'll probably just sit on it.
They'll wait. And as far as that's concerned, they just allowed him to be able to run for president while he's still governor, and so they changed that ruling. Who's to say they're not going to change the ruling, allow him to be a governor for longer than 2 terms?
Good point.
They can do that.
Well, let's not get into
again.
that.
Devil's advocate. I don't want to get into it, but we're going to wait and see what. I think there's going to be a wait and see situation. That's what I think is going to happen.
I think that is the best guess any of us have had tonight. And you know what? I think I could see it sitting there for 10, 15 years, honestly.
Why not? The where Art of Animation is, that sat there that long.
Right. It was part of Pop Century that just sat there. Yeah.
You look at where is it? What was the name of that water resort? I was talking
River
about
Country.
River Country.
Yeah, that's still sitting there.
Yeah.
Well, I should say it's rotting there. They did have plans.
They started clearing it out now.
They did have plans for River Country, and it was supposed to be another resort over there, and they canceled that because COVID hit.
They canceled it, and then now they're just taking care of the cabins at Fort Wilderness and turning those into DVC cabins.
Yeah. Well, time will tell. And you know what? I don't think this is going to be the last of the cutbacks at Disney. Disney was going to invest, what was it, $5 billion or $10 billion over the next 10 years, or I don't remember what the numbers were. And I think they're going, not pause it, but I think they're going to take a very careful look at what they're putting into the parks in the state of Florida in the immediate future. That's going to change at some point in time, but we'll see. But right now, we know the Star Wars resort is gonzo come September 28th.
Yes.
Now, are they going to refund anybody who might have booked October, November?
They're trying to reschedule them, or else they will refund.
Right.
It's hard though, because you know what? If you're somebody that works for a company, you own your own business, and you took that vacation time purposely for this, or as part of a greater, larger, longer Disney World vacation, that makes it a little difficult.
Yeah, I booked all the way back in November is when I booked this trip that I'm taking.
Yeah. This is not something you book overnight and go, okay, let's go.
Yeah, well, they're just trying to cut their losses. So.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah. Well, for those people getting booted out of the Star Wars resort, Six Flags does have many amusement parks you can go to. And I promise you will not be happy there.
Not allowed.
Sending somebody to a Six Flags amusement park is like giving them a piece of candy and taking it away from them.
Giving them a piece of candy that's 10 years old or longer,
Yeah.
that's bitter and doesn't taste very good. Again, we've got one an hour away. My kids have never gone. They looked at it and they're like, I don't want to go here.
We had one that was.
Then again, my youngest son really doesn't like roller coasters. So,
yeah, we had one that was 15 minutes away from us when we lived up north. And we went there when the kids were younger. And I cannot tell you, when the kids started to get older, we started noticing that, yeah, they've got a new attraction, a new roller coaster that I would never go on. My kids might have. But then, depending on when you go, there was always attractions closed because they didn't either have enough staff or they didn't want to fix them. There was just some things that were just not working. And that would create long lines everywhere else, much like that. No, I'm kidding. So, it was not a well-maintained park. Anyway.
By the way, I did just look up where River Country was.
Mm-hmm.
It's all filled in now. It's completely filled in.
Okay.
So that's the good news. It's not sitting there rotting
that is good.
Water anymore.
And I think that's why they were going to put a resort there.
It was. You're absolutely right. It is. Yep. So they got that far. At least they filled it in. Now that it's all going to settle, it'll be another 5 years before that ground's able to be built on.
Yeah, I think they said because they postponed it, that the amount of work they would have to do to bring it back to where it was to build a resort is going to take years.
Yeah.
And a lot of money.
Yeah. They'll wait on that right now.
Yeah. So for fans of the Star Wars resort, I am very sorry. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of "I told you so's." I'm shocked. Really? It'll be all over the place. But I think most people are not surprised by this.
No, unfortunately.
Well, right. I mean, they've had, as you said, they've had to cancel dates. So they didn't have too many, empty spaces. They've also been offering 30% off for annual pass holders and DVC. So yeah, the signs have been there for a while now.
Yep, absolutely. Any other points you guys want to bring up before we end this show?
Are you disappointed?
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they rethemed it. Or not rethemed it, but toned it down and made it something else so they still used it.
Yeah.
Just not as extensive as it is right now.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, John, you were going to say something?
I was going to ask the two of you, are you disappointed you didn't get a chance to at least see it?
No, because I don't think I ever would have.
I'm not saying
stay there. Yeah.
You didn't pay the money to go, but are you disappointed you didn't get some kind of way to see it?
No, not at all.
Not really. Again, I talked about it this afternoon with my son, and he goes, it just wasn't for me. It wasn't something he would have wanted to do.
I would have liked to. So. I would have liked to have seen it, but I was never going to pay the price to do it.
You know what? I'm not the type of person who likes being in places where I have to engage in certain things voluntarily or involuntarily, however you want to look at it. I'm the type of person, if I go to a party and I can know everybody there, I'm going to stand in a corner and hide.
Right. Right. And when I was my kid's age and younger like that, I didn't want to engage in something like that either. Mm-hmm. Because, you make one mistake, now everyone laughs. Are they laughing at you? Or are they laughing with you? I don't want to do that. If you do something wrong and you get called out on it, he's the rebel spy. Now I think it's awesome when I go on Star Tours that I'm the rebel spy. In that situation, I don't know if I would have liked it or not, or be like I guess you weren't the rebel spy. It was the first resistance spy. I don't know. But my kids wanted nothing to do with it.
Oh, this just in. They're going to turn into a wrestling training school.
There you go.
No, they're not. Okay, I think that's going to do it for us. I think we beat the crap out of this thing, to put it lightly. Yeah, we will be back next week with our news show and a regular show. I don't know what I do know what the regular show is going to be next week. What the topic was supposed to be this week. Uh, we're going to talk about Main Street USA and, popcorn and all the other fun stuff from what was to what is, and our memories and how it actually came about. But we'll do that next week on the show. So I hope
awesome
everybody who got through this show will come back and join us next week.
Please.
Yeah, that's it. All right. So everybody, be safe, be yourself. Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
Sorry, I can't help myself, but Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. There goes my Star Wars. It's at an end. Farewell, Halcyon. Rest in space. Good night, everybody.